the risk factor is there's someone that has the ability to issue $150 billion worth of stock in order to solve a problem. As we know by looking at the world, oftentimes when you have someone with enough power to make a $150 billion decision, it's coin flip. They might make the right one, but they might make a $150 billion mistake. And the difference between that and Bitcoin is in Bitcoin, nobody has the power to issue $150 billion of new Bitcoin. If they did, then you have 100 reasons why we ought to do it every month.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have the latest interview with the co-founder of MicroStrategy and Bitcoin bull Michael Saylor, highlighting the challenges that companies face from technology and the political risks that we're seeing in 2023. These are showing to have a significant impact on operations, resulting in losses for companies and their shareholders. He cites the failed Time Warner AOL merger, where both companies were struggling with technological disruptions and believed that merging would enable them to fend off competition. However, this decision proved costly, resulting in billions of dollars in losses for shareholders. Saylor notes that decisions by powerful individuals can pose a considerable risk and change the financial structure of even the biggest companies. Let's get right to the interview with Michael Saylor as he discusses Bitcoin and the fear that's driven into businesses, resulting in catastrophic outcomes. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content we do here. Let's get right into the video.
The fifth risk is competitive risk. Maybe I'm the best in the world at something. Like Nokia was the greatest mobile phone company and they got wiped out. Somebody else produces a product that's better than mine, that's cheaper than mine. They might be an in-kind competitor. I'm a restaurant, someone else has a better restaurant, they wipe me out. I manufacture steel, someone manufactures steel cheaper, they wipe me out. I'm an airline, someone else has cheaper flights, they wipe me out. You cannot avoid competitive risk over the long term. But there's another kind of risk, which is like not in-kind competition, but I'll call it technology risk. I'm the world's leading manufacturer of horse buggies. And then Henry Ford comes along with a car and nobody wants horse buggies anymore. Or I'm a horse breeder, or I'm a buggy whip manufacturer, or I produce electric light bulbs that are incandescent, and then people want fluorescent. And then I have fluorescent light bulbs and they want LED light bulbs. And so over time, new types of technology, I'm the world's leader in typewriters, and the people want mainframes or computers or word processors. And I'm Wang, and I'm the leader in word processors, and I got wiped out by the PC. So there are always technology cycles. And here it's a cruel risk because the world is full of examples of companies that got wiped out by a better technology. Xerox, Kodak. But the world is also full of companies that got wiped out because they saw the new technology coming, and so they made an acquisition or they invested obscene amounts of money to compete, and they still failed, even though they thought they were going to compete. And so this technology risk drives that strategic risk element up. People justify bad strategies based upon technology threats. And of course, the reason that they make the $10 billion strategic mistake is they thought they were fending off Time Warner decided to merge with AOL in one of the most catastrophically, failed mergers in history, because Time Warner said, we need to get into video streaming and the internet represents a risk to the media business. So the solution was to buy AOL for $150 billion. Now, AOL said, we're at risk from, Google and the like, and so we have to sell ourselves. So you have one frightened, struggling company merging with another frightened, struggling company, and the result when the dust settled was something like $150 billion to $200 billion of shareholder capital got wiped out. And was that a governance failure? Or was that a strategic failure? Or was that a technology failure? All those risk factors drove people to light $100 billion on fire. They all thought they're doing the right thing. But of course, this is human action. The risk factor is there's someone that has the ability to issue $150 billion worth of stock in order to solve a problem. As we know by looking at the world, oftentimes when you have someone with enough power to make a $150 billion decision, it's coin flip. They might make the right one, but they might make a $150 billion mistake. And, the difference between that and Bitcoin is in Bitcoin, nobody has the power to issue $150 billion of new Bitcoin.
Saylor observes that people often envision catastrophic scenarios and may overreact, leading to an ineffective rationale in their decision-making. He warns investors to not become excessively focused on risk, and maintaining a long-term perspective is imperative. Saylor also argues that having a board of directors that can make informed decisions is crucial in mitigating risk.
People basically become, you could call them hypochondriacs. They imagine that the world will end if they don't save the whales, save the seals, stop the carbon, stop nuclear power, if we don't get to the moon, if we don't get to Mars, if we don't not get there, if we don't start the war, if we don't stop the war, if we don't change everybody, stop nylon, if we don't stop oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Everybody imagines things. If we stand too close together, if we don't close the schools, if we let people get on airplanes without getting scanned in metal detectors, if we don't, there's always a risk, and every risk justifies $100 billion or $1 trillion decision, and generally they're all mistakes. Technology risk is, is facing your firm over 100 years. You're going to find whatever you're producing gets attacked, right? If what lasted 100 years? John D. Rockefeller's oil companies, they produced a barrel of oil. What was the threat? Well, it was threatened by electricity, electric cars. Did it work? Well, first it tried. Then we had electric cars in 1920, but they failed. But then 100 years later, they didn't fail. Nuclear power was a threat. Natural gas is a threat. Liquefied natural gas is a threat. Oil from another country is a threat. Everything's a threat. Maybe we shut down nuclear power plants. It's not a threat. Maybe coal's a threat. Maybe we won't need as much energy anymore. Solar is a threat. Maybe wind is a threat. Maybe hydro is a threat. Everything is a threat, or it isn't a threat, right? And you have to live through 100 years of that. And that means you got to have a board of directors deciding whether to spend all of the shareholders' money to fight the threat. And of course, a lot of times the answer is I have to have the resolve to not react to the threat, because 9 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 of the threats don't form, but then occasionally the threat does form. So then you got 7, political risk. And political risk can come from the mayor of your town. The mayor decides that that they don't want to have your kind of business within city limits, and so they zone it out. Actually, it can start at the neighborhood zoning board. They can zone you out. Then the mayor can zone you out. Then the governor can change the regulations. Like right now, New York State, is suing Paxos over their stable coin. Okay, that's a New York action. It's not even a federal action. So the state can take action against you, or your own country where your domicile can take action against you.
Saylor emphasizes that companies face constant threats from technological advancements, which are continually emerging, and they must invest a large amount of resources in combating these threats. With political risk in particular, Saylor notes that companies may face legal and regulatory changes from local, state, or foreign governments, which can have a significant effect on their ability to operate effectively. What do you think about this latest interview with Michael Saylor and the challenges that major companies face with risk in 2023? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.